Okay. All right. So Archangel Metatron has me at your door, and your door to me has this opalescent look to it, almost like a moonstone. And so what I'm seeing that is definitely you are very connected to nature itself. Um, I don't know if you, because you are a channeler, I don't know if you channel with nature aspect, or as you channel, you have maybe like a pine cone next to you or something like that, where you can really tap into your connection to nature. And that's been across all your lifetimes. This is just something that has been a foundation for you. And I know that it's because your doorway gives me that essence. So as long as it's okay for me to open the doorway, go ahead and give me consent.
You have my consent. Open the
Okay.
door, please.
All right. And I do want you to know that when I'm all done, I will make sure the doorway is closed behind me, and Archangel Metatron will seal the door.
Thank you.
Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So we're just walking through the door here, and I'm this is interesting. Grew wings and flew. Um, Yeah, I flew in and they're taking me very deep in already, not just like at the front where when I do Akashic records and they bring me to kind of what's happening right inside the door, that tells me that this is something that is happening in this lifetime. These are the karmic lessons that are signed up for and why. For you they're kind of bringing me back deeper and deeper, because you are an old soul, and yeah, and you've connected with that frame for yourself. That's an interesting word. I'm not sure. uh, I don't know if that means anything to you, the concept of a frame for you when it comes to the age of your soul. Um, you did ask about other planetary lives, and they're automatically taking me to it's kind of looks like a solar system. Um, but they are definitely in different, um, I want to say galaxies. Maybe another one in the Milky Way. There is a habitable planet in the Milky Way that scientists haven't discovered yet, and you have lived there. And there's only one planet there that I'm seeing. It kind of looks like a water planet where you were not human or humanoid. Um, I see you kind of as I think the easiest term I can use is like a whale, but not a whale. I wish I was an artist so I could draw it for you. But a very, very large, very majestic. I'm seeing like a black underbelly with like these lights. Almost looks like your crystals are embedded into your spine. Very beautiful, um, very bright. I'm asking now why they brought me to this entity first. I'm hearing that it's safe to go with the flow. That sometimes you kind of feel like you come across like a barrier, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. But if you stop yourself and really look at that barrier, it kind of looks like a hurdle, like in a track and field, and how it's just this tiny little frame that you have the option of going under, over, or just around. And so these obstacles that you're running into, or these questions that have been popping up, they're actually really easy to answer because they just want you to go with the flow. Like, what's the energy like when you're thinking of the question? What's the energy feel like within your body? What's the energy of the day? Is the energy of the day kind of more stimulating, or is it more relaxing? And that's where they're like, that's where you can find your answers. If you're more stimulated, then go on with your normal routines or find something extra to do. And as you're doing that, boom, the answer is going to come up. right? And you know how that works. It's kind of like resting. And the same with days of rest where you're more just relaxed. I don't want to say a state of stagnation because that's not right. It's almost definitely just a pause where it's safe to pause. There's nothing going on that you need to worry about. Um, and that's where you'll find other answers. And so I'm seeing this spirit, this animal spirit, move into uh, kind of like a kelp forest, but there's a lot of music playing. So because it's a water world, I would think that the hearing's different and the sight's different. So everything under this water has its own sound, its own vibration, its own music. And you have a tendency to move into this kelp forest and interact with the music. Are you musical? Do you play an instrument or sing a lot?
Not in this dimension, not this time.
Okay.
I do listen to a lot of music and prefer music in the background normally.
Okay.
Um,
They are suggesting that because you did say you like work at festivals and markets, make sure when you pick them, you know who the vendors are and make sure there's a musical aspect, not just like, oh, go to each vendor and learn something. There's an aspect that your gifts and talents actually amplify when there's live music. So try and incorporate that into your life. And even if it's like on Spotify or something like that, you can find live albums. That's going to be more beneficial for your energetic body than just pre-recorded tracks.
okay.
Um, so I think that's really,
So maybe even a slight undertone at my booth would help.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that would help your clients as well. There would be a sense of not only calm, but being able to relate because everyone relates to music on some level.
Right.
Hmm. And that relatability is super important during a reading.
Well, I keep wanting to learn the ukulele. I don't know that.
Well, it's never too late. I mean, you could go to a music store and just plink around and
Yeah.
enjoy time there. And you don't have
Yeah.
to buy one and take one home, but it
Right.
it
Right.
gets your hands on it.
Right. Well, it would be something, like you said.
Hmm.
Good idea, though.
Yeah. All right. All right. So they're popping me out of that planet, and I'm just kind of sitting around the solar system waiting for the next planet to arise. I hear kind of the Palladian system. What's interesting, I don't know if you saw the planetary alignment last night in the sky. Um,
Mhm.
so there was seven planets, all seven planets aligned last night, and the visible ones, it looked like this big arc in the sky. And when I kept looking over, I realized at the either the tail end or the beginning of the this planetary alignment was the Palladian system. It was visible. And I was like, wow, that's, you don't see that often, especially in a city where there's a lot of lights. So I really felt like that was a super special moment.
Mhm.
Um, that system has been through the ringer, but has found a sense of peacefulness. It's almost like there's been a lot of treaties um, um, built in that, and and I feel like you were actually on a council, and I feel like you already know that you've been on some really important councils, and that's why you're not on one this lifetime because you've already been through that stress multiple times, and they're like, you need to be able to rest and just do what you love versus do what you have to and argue and do all this stuff. And it's like, okay. Um, but at the same time, you have been a mediator. And so that really relates to your job within the council. Um, so there's been a lot of decision making that you've already worked with within this lifetime. And I'm asking why they're bringing this up. We've all had hard decisions to make. We've It's just a collective aspect of a life experience. Um, going back to the idea that they wanted you to have more rest in this lifetime. You've had a lot of challenges, there's no doubt, but the staying out of the political sphere is definitely one of the missions in your life this round is just stay out. Just don't do it.
That's a difficult one for me.
Yeah, because it has been so volatile for many decades. That's for sure.
My
Um,
late husband went before he passed and promised me, he made me promise that I wouldn't be thrown in jail this time for politics. And at the time when he asked me, he said, "You have to promise me that," because he knew he was passing. And so every now and again, I feel that sense of him saying, "Remember, you promised."
yeah, yeah. He must have been tapping into something. He's like, just don't do it. Just give yourself a rest. Go with the flow and just observe how things are happening. And like you said, you want to do something that helps humanity. And right now, politics has a tendency to divide versus bring together. And your mission is to find ways to bring people together, whether it's one or two people at a time. That's It's not meant to be a big shift yet because we are in the great dismantling, which translates into the great awakening.
Right.
And so the reason why you've been through what you've been through and have been able to tap into the other side is to help the people who are going to be waking up, like in their spiritual sense. Um, and that's what all us healers are really, striving to do is be the support. Like, okay, we've already been there. Let's help you get through it, kind of thing. And so that's basically the main reason why they don't want you to really find yourself like grabbing onto the political sphere, because you have a different purpose, which is hard because if you've lived multiple lifetimes where you have been a part of councils and dealing with important matters that affect millions of beings. And this time they're like, we want you to just work with one being at a time. Just allow that stepping ladder to happen. And that's kind of going back to the animal of going with the flow. Now, I do hear, though, because you are pulled into that sphere, something you might want to consider is if there are starting to be protests and stuff like that, is towards the back of all the groups and the protesters moving forward, set up a booth. That's a good place to set up. There's something that where your energy can bring in a sense of peacefulness so that these group things are not going to become so violent so quick. And so, if you and other colleagues might consider doing something like that, because I have no doubt protests are going to start arising again, especially when the weather gets better. Um,
Oh, yeah.
that that would be a huge help for the planet itself, planet Earth itself. the energy of it, because planet Earth is affected very deeply by the anger and angst and all that happens. So if you can be there to help temper that, um, your spirit would be eternally grateful. Um, they want me, that when I say they, I mean your higher self. There has a tendency to be more than one aspect to your higher self. A lot of people misunderstand that the higher self is just one entity. It's actually multiple. Um, because there needs to have those conversations and multiple angles seen, to be able to bring it into one conversation, right? Um, and so that's what I mean by they. So what they are wanting me to let you know is that there is a sense of interconnectedness, within the different realms and planets, as well as the people here. They want you to remember to cut cords. So, you know what cutting cords is, those energetic cords. Um, I know you cut your own cords at times, but they want you to do some journeys where you are really looking at
Oh,
your energetic space and seeing what cords are there and follow them. Because I guarantee you, several of them are connected to past lives. And you can go in there, kind of get, a message if you need to, and then cut the cord, make sure it's disengaged from your body. And you can call on Archangel Raphael and Uriel for the healing aspects to kind of heal and seal the attachment areas. Um, this is part of your clearing karma. And the reason why I say that is it's not clearing karma as in moving through lessons, it's clearing the karma of having that connection, ha- um, clearing that connection, completely just disengaging it with love and thanks and gratitude for the lessons that you learned back then and how they translated into this lifetime. Um, but disengaging that will mean that you're not going to be carrying that into your next lifetime, that you can finally ascend to your next level of questions and answers that you'll be um, working through in your next lifetime. So they're saying it's really, really important for you to work on that. I'm hearing over the next 2 years. So this is not a process to just do immediately. They're saying this is a slow, gentle process because when you do it all at once, it can really dislodge stuff. Um, and kind of put you in a dissociative state where we're trying to keep you solid and centered. So definitely take your time on that. When you run into one of those blocks that you feel like is a block, that's a perfect time to check to see if there's a energetic cord that is associated with that block.
okay. Like with money.
Yeah, well, that seems to be a collective thing um, right now. Um, and I haven't really dived into that yet because I'm like, it affects me too, and I don't know if I want to know the answer yet. But
I
at
think
some
some of
point,
it, I think some of it is that in numerous other dimensions we're sought out. And I don't necessarily believe that in other dimensions money is the thing as much as it is bartering and helping each other. Whereas in this dimension, they've made everything about that almighty coin that you own. Uh,
um, yes.
and it's a different, it's just different.
Mhm.
So, but let's go on. didn't need to
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
that.
no, you're totally right. In this, I don't even know if I want to call it dimension. It's really a planetary aspect. I feel that,
Gotcha.
we have multiple dimensions, but there are dimensions where money was
Is
never even invented,
right.
and so we're still moving through the old ways, even though we're probably more advanced technologically. And that's because money wasn't the thing that stopped everyone, you know? Okay, so they're pulling me out of that planet now, and I'm asking if there's any other planets to visit. I'm being brought to a sun, it's a red sun. Um, it's almost like I don't know if I want to call it a lifetime or it's definitely part of your spiritual progress was as a molecule within that sun. So, wow, that's kind of intense. It's like,
Like in 30/20, if you put a year to it.
mhm, possibly. I'm
I
not really
kind of
hearing,
know. I
yeah,
think I know what you're saying, but go ahead.
I'm not hearing a year, but if you're hearing a year, then that means it resonates with you.
Actually, I hear there's a counselor called Aladora in the fifth quadrant
Hmm.
from about 30/20.
Hmm.
And I am her, but not all of her.
Hmm.
Any of
And
them fits.
and that is related to that sun, where
I think so.
and it's not like you're an embodied entity. You're more just the molecules, and and the sun has life-giving energies, right? Any sun, any ball of fire
Yeah.
has these life-giving energies, and it feels like it's really important for you to know that not every lifetime is embodied. And then also people who are watching that, not every lifetime is embodied. Sometimes we are literally just molecules because we have the energy of giving life. Um, wow, that's kind of profound, honestly. I'm like, I'm feeling it in my heart that, especially as a woman, because we're capable of creating life and birthing life. And so, we understand that concept of life giving, maybe a little bit more deeper than some men, not excluding men, um, because they are a part of that system as well. Um, um, there's so much energy moving through me, and that's because I feel like broken up molecules just moving so fast and then blowing out the building blocks of life and then bringing it back in, building up that kinetic energy and then blowing it back out. And so now I'm being brought back to this sense of setting up a booth, anytime there's a protest, um, because there's a sense of this like blowing out this life-giving energy, but it's not an intensity. It's that molecule, just the energy, and the energy needs to come from your heart space. It's like, yes, I hear you. I understand what is going on. I have my own opinions and and sense of justice I want to relate to, but your higher self is saying just pull that back. That's something you can speak to with your friends and family with, but with the general public, they really want you to hold that kinetic energy of your heart and then blow it out during these times of protest. It's going to be super important because we are in the great dismantling, and we do need to cross that bridge. And your higher self is saying, yes, you can help build that bridge into this great awakening and the reconvergence.
Okay.
So you really do have an important role, even though maybe on the outside it doesn't look important, energetically and spiritually, it is crucial. So if you're considering, okay, what kind of things I can do, this is something you can keep an eye out for, especially if you are interested in traveling. That may be something you guys can do is travel, keep an eye out. Okay, who's protesting? Where are they protesting? How aligned do I feel like that? And maybe travel there and then have inspiration on other places you might want to visit. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do readings in those other places, but um, it might be fun, just in general. So yeah, that's really the message around that sun energy is just allow that heartfelt life-giving energy to the space of dismantling to help build that bridge into the reconvergence. And that's what spirit's been calling it. For me, I'm sure other people have different words, but the reconvergence is the time period I'm hearing, which will probably be in 2.5 to 7 years, where it's really coming back together. Okay. Um, I feel wiggly for some reason. Lots of energy going on. I'm gonna kind of clear it out for a sec. That's helpful. All right. I'm moving out of this solar system now and kind of being brought back towards a kind of like a forward movement. I'm seeing a castle. Um, I and this is an ancestral thing. So I don't know if you've ever done your
Um,
family tree.
oh,
And
yes, on all sides.
yeah, and so I don't know if you have French or Bulgarian type of ancestry. But I am seeing a castle, not like a palace, not royalty, but definitely, your family would have been invited to come to court kind of thing.
Right.
So there's basically what I'm hearing is you've had multiple lifetimes of influence, and they're wanting you to step back into that energy without becoming political. So you're going to have to figure out how that works out for you, you know. Um, but yeah, definitely remember that you do have influence, that you are capable of influencing, capable of a sense of leadership. And that all stems back to this heart space. So it definitely more self-care or changing up the way you look, like going in and getting like a new hairdo or something like that, or putting on a little makeup every day, just to get you back into that sense of the divine feminine, where they're more that energy is the nurturing energy, the creative energy, and that's where we find the capability of influencing via heart space. These are some pretty deep messages today. We are not skimming the surface at all. All right. Um, I'm feeling a sense of calmness over me again, a sense of quietness. Are you a medium? Do you,
Yes.
okay. Um,
I
when
have
you,
I do all the clairs.
okay.
I'm psychic and a medium. Honestly, some of my favorite clients are on the other side. I have been
Yeah,
since I was 3.
okay. Um, Yes, I'm really feeling this mediumship. They want you to kind of expand your experience and connect with your guides. There's a couple guides that you can call in to help you bring forward um, someone or something, and then another guide to help you translate. But there's, of course, taking your clients and reading for people. That's definitely important. But there's another sense of divining for the earth, coming back to that connection with earth, um, connecting to, oh wow, okay, this is man, everything is coming full circle. So this is around, being a part of those political protests and giving the heart energy out. Um, the heart energy, they want you to bring that up from the earth, and so connecting to the earth spirits, those that are here and those that have already passed. So maybe maybe the dinosaurs or other animals that have been extinct. Use your mediumship gifts and talents to connect with them. If you believe in gnomes and mermaids and all that, use your mediumship abilities to connect to them and ask them what the earth needs and how it relates to humanity, what needs to shift in humanity, and kind of bring those messages forward for people who are feeling like they are in in an energetic field of injustice, because really we are literally just this blue ball floating through empty space, and our problems are not astronomical. They may feel like it because our emotions are really big. These chemicals that flood our bodies when we're triggered feel really big, especially when the collective is feeling the same stuff. And so the earth helps ground us, helps bring us back into a different perspective, right? Of that we literally are just little ants running around on this freaking blue ball flying through the sky, you know? So the earth has some answers for you that you can embody for yourself, and then give to other people. And you know who will be receptive to those people because they will come to your booth. People who are not receptive to receiving messages will, it's almost like you're invisible to them, which is okay. That's okay. Um, and that's the point where your higher self is saying a lot of times it's just one person at a time, and not worry about how big it is, because the bigness will come anyway. That's not something you have to strive for or reach for. What's yours is going to come to you no matter what. Yes, there may be some delays, but if you signed up for them in this lifetime, you will receive them no matter what. That's just how it works. Okay. Um, and they often come in different ways than we hope them to or have imagined them to. They may feel smaller or bigger than the way we want them to, but the blessing is always there. You've received tons of them already. Um, it's interesting how they just kind of cut me off. They're like, okay, that's the end of that message. Okay, here we go. On to the next thing. I'm seeing myself on this winding path right now, and I feel like that's something that you really resonate in this lifetime. You're like, I don't feel like I've been on this straight path. It's been more windy where, I'm going straight for a while, and then all of a sudden there's this corner and I can't see around it. And so a sense of in this lifetime being comfortable with the unknown and still walking towards it has is one of your big challenges and life lessons. And I feel like that's kind of a collective lesson that others may relate to, that um, going towards the unknown does not feel safe. It does not feel comfortable. But it's really important for us to remember to embrace the awkwardness, embrace that discomfort, because on the other side of it um, is the new life we've been asking for. I want my life to change. I want this to change. I want that to change. But it won't change unless we walk into the unknown, which can be super scary. So, for you, because you're an influencer and have walked into the unknown several times already and still moving towards the unknown, I mean, that's just going to be life for you. As an influencer, that is something that they want you to relate to others and remind them that the unknown is safe. Okay. It is safe. And we don't have to go backwards. We don't have to revisit lessons or people um, because we're scared of the unknown. That's the scary stuff, actually. The stuff behind us tends to be the scary stuff because we're like, my life's not going to change if I go back there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a message that they want you to continue to give to others as an influencer, or maybe build a seminar around that. Like if you've ever thought about holding a seminar or holding a workshop, and the workshop is built around the safety of the unknown. So that's an idea that you might want to work with.
And wow. Because the relationship I have with Keith is based totally on disregarding everybody's idea of red flags and walking forward to meet each other,
Right.
and that we have not been physically together yet, but we are together. Um, which is interesting. It was fraught with a lot of the unknown.
Hmm.
A lot of the unknown.
Yeah. And how did you find yourself becoming more and more comfortable with that?
Mhm. Actually, how? I just went within. I
Hmm.
went within myself. What was my gut feeling? Uh, my heart was still, was palpitating.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little churning in the gut, but basically, it was a matter of coming to the realization. Um, well, for us too, it's been totally soul. I mean, he's over 6,000 miles away from me. So
Hmm.
it's no touching. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't even have video chats because of the internet issues and whatnot. It has been totally soul communication and human conversation. The spiritual, it's totally been spiritual.
Hmm.
And it's been walking into belief and trust. And, he's always with the let's go with the flow, trust the process, red flag hits, but nothing comes of the red flag. And I've just gotten to a spot, and I have told him that if nothing else, our relationship and the way it is developed is I hopefully or could be used to show people that sometimes you just have to do it. You
Yeah.
just move forward, accept what you're listening to,
Hmm.
believe in what you're hearing, trust in what you're hearing, have the faith, and be grateful too. Because well, just
Hmm.
last night, I woke up from a nightmare, and I texted him. It was his was after midnight here, so it was my morning, his after early afternoon, because of course we are 11 hours apart. or he's 11 hours ahead of me, which is hilarious because, here we've got this time aspect too. And he happened to see my message and he contacted me and we got to talk for 3.5 minutes before the internet shut down. Then we went to texting and he just said, it's time, obviously the system's coming down on us. You need to get more sleep. And I was able to take the comfort that he was sending me internally. And I thanked him, and I was able to get some sleep last night and to calm down from my nightmare, which I couldn't even remember, which is unusual for me,
Hmm.
So we've just learned. It's taken us a year and a quarter. He comes home, I hope, in April. It's not, things have not worked out the way he had planned, but he will be home in April. I know we will be physically together for the first time in
That's
April.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
And then
Yeah,
and then
I
we solve his project so we can move forward. I really feel he's base for moving forward is the third one. I was always told there was a third one. So
That's beautiful. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. As long as, you feel comfortable, you feel safe, and those red flags, you work through them. Unless it's something like, a scammer. We can start understanding scammers
right.
where they're like, you got to give money, you got to give that, but it doesn't sound like
But
he's
no,
that.
no, it's not that at
Yeah.
all.
Mm,
Um, but no, and that's part of it, right off the bat. It's, well, is this a scammer? You have to work through all those doubts, all those
yeah.
red flags, is this a scammer? Is this a gaslighting situation? Is this, you go through all of these
Yeah. Hmm.
and, and you get to that spot where, well, it doesn't hold true.
Yeah.
It comes up as still a few times. You'll say, well, I thought we were past that. Well, no, this just has got me twinging a little bit here, what you've said or what we're talking about, you
Hmm.
know. So I think, on that side is, what does my higher self say? Am I reading it correctly?
It feels like it. Definitely, work on making sure you have that video call with him. Um, find a way to make that happen. That's going to be really important. That not only just for confirmation of who he is, but deepening the connection. Because when you can see someone face to face,
Yeah,
it's easier to understand the context behind the words because most communication is nonverbal.
right,
Yeah. And so sometimes those red flags that we think we're seeing, it's just the stuff that we've carried from
right,
previous things that's triggering us when
right,
really the context is completely different. It's just our perception because of our own experiences and conditioning.
right, right.
Um, but I don't feel like your situation is in dire straits or anything. It feels like, it's there's building a foundation. I'm seeing bricks being laid and mortar and stuff like that. So, I mean, definitely go with the flow and get some rest.
Go with the flow again. Trust the process. Go with the flow.
Oh, and we can say that all day long, but actually doing it, that's
Yeah,
the hard part.
yeah.
It's like, okay, so I'm trusting the process, and here I am sitting here going, oh, well, what do I do with the time?
Uh,
You know, what do I do with my time?
at
Um,
some point, it's now or never.
right, right, exactly. And that's our sense of needing
At the time.
instant gratification, whereas delayed gratification has a tendency to be more stable and happier.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Well, I am, like I said, I'm feeling that I know in April we will be together. I
that's
just
beautiful. You're
just
feeling it.
know it, and yeah, and he's he's beginning to accept it because he's dealing with some failure, feelings of failure, and some
Mm.
ancestral issues around failure. So we're dealing with it. Anyhow, what else do they have to tell me?
I completely understand. Um, okay, let's see where they take me. We were on that winding road and talking about how um a message that they're wanting you to convey to others is around feeling safe in the unknown. But still boundaries. You know, it's like if you're completely uncomfortable with something and it doesn't feel right, then trust that. And so a sense of feeling safe, um, moving into the unknown because you know thyself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
hmm And so they want you to convey that message to others because that's going to help the reconvergence later on. The more people trust themselves, the easier it will be to converge,
Wow.
right?
I see that. That makes sense.
hmm
Totally makes sense.
All right, I'm seeing where they want to. They're taking me down into like this tunnel into a cave, lots of crystals,
Oh,
like a very crystalline area. I'm seeing a lot of amethyst, um, or at least this is the color of amethyst, and maybe some emerald. Um, well, several colors, but those are the prominent ones. There is a lot of energy in this area. You're able to channel energy and understand energy quite significantly, more so than some other people. You know, it's like you hear people talking about energy and stuff like that, and you're like, I don't know. You know, that doesn't, I don't resonate with that. And from my experience, that's not how it works, you know, and you know, you and I may want to have more conversations about energy because I've been working with energy for 10
yeah.
years, but that doesn't mean I have the expertise
I
or the
would,
wisdom that you have gained.
I would enjoy that because when I was a child, 5, um, I was in a rather poverty situation as a child, and my siblings and I were sent to bed early because my parents worked early. Anyhow, we learned, and I don't know how we learned because we were not taught. This is not from my parents, but we had to be quiet, but we wanted to play. So we learned about throwing energy balls, using energy to write and paint on ourselves and on our siblings. We'd do this puzzle game where we'd draw a picture on your back and you had to guess it, and all of this. I mean, I've done that since I was little. And then I took my first Reiki class, and they start with that ball exercise. I go,
Mhm.
oh God, I've been doing this since I was 5. We're just making an energy ball from the earth and throwing it
Correct.
together. And,
Yeah.
so for me, I'd love to talk to another person that's interested in it from a little bit different perspective than what, because yes,
Yeah.
I can feel energy. Uh,
Yeah. I kind of a scholarly type of perception from my side. It's like, ooh, I want to know more. I always want to know more. Um,
so
the,
maybe sometime we could, yes, discuss that.
okay. Um, so let me see what else is going on in this cave. I feel like we're almost to the close of the reading. Um, if you hear my dog in the background, he's dreaming. I'm like, oh goodness. Um, yeah, he's dreaming about a cat he hates. Animals. Okay. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, it's coming back to that sense of being plugged into the earth and remembering that. Um, if you have house plants, making sure, maybe you touch them every day to remind yourself until it becomes a routine or something like that. Um, and definitely make sure you have light around you. If you have I don't understand the translation. Hold on a second. So what I'm hearing is Kareka Kukra. Ne- mm, it's not really a noun or a vowel. Mm, mm, should, see, I don't understand how to translate that. Hold on, let me see. I'm asking for them to translate. It seems more like sounds. So coming back to that sense of the vibration of everything actually has music to it. So maybe those were song lyrics. Do you hear song lyrics during your readings? Like, do sometimes
I
songs pop
can't,
in?
I can't, well, my readings are pretty much based on movies or songs or, yes, any of that.
Okay.
Uh,
They want you to make sure you pay attention to lyrics, and if you're doing readings, maybe have a notepad next to you and jot some notes down around that music, because it not only relates to your client, but it relates to your dream state. And so, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, go back and see what notes you have written down, and uh, and it may
there are
relate.
phrases, there are songs, that come through
Hmm.
that I know, like, my mother. I know, they're just some songs or music sounds that I do know.
Hmm. Yeah, if you happen to hear lyrics, pay attention because there's a relatedness to your dream state, and this comes back around to that sense of expressing the kinetic energy outwards. Um, I'm not sure how that's going to work for you, so maybe you'll need to do some journeying or ask someone to journey on your behalf around this concept of how the song lyrics work within your dream state and the sense of expressing that heart energy to the human collective.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was super complicated. I was
Well,
trying to find a way to put it in
I
English.
sometimes I do a dream state and I'll know it's for someone else and I will contact them and say, I dreamt this. I don't know what it means.
Okay, that's beautiful. I love that.
And I would not mind doing that more
Hmm.
either. There again, I truly believe that Keith is able to do this. His mother shut him down real early in life, like my grandmother attempted. Um, but I'm very certain he's a dreamer, that he's
Okay,
able to do the dream state.
okay. Um, okay. I'm just asking if there's any other information from this area. They're saying that they want you to revisit this now that you know that this area within your own um, soul energy. They want you to revisit this scene and kind of speak to each crystal at a time. So like walking up to one of the crystals and having a conversation, and then another time doing the same with another crystal. Um, because it would just take too long for us to do that together right now.
Right.
So they're saying there's lots more they want to tell you. We just don't have the time today to move through that. But the big important messages have come through around, listening to those songs, because all vibration is also its own song, you know. Um, Anything, even the vibration coming off of our skin, we all have our own individual music that we portray to the world. And that's why some people are magnetized to us and some people are repelled, because it doesn't match their music, or they're not interested in that music. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, Whew, that's an interesting message. Okay, so they're having me come out of the cave now and kind of walking back towards your door, and I'm asking if there's any final messages, anywhere else we need to visit before we close this out.
I have a silly question.
Sure.
Ever since I was a child, I've wanted to live to be 100, but now I've changed it to 110. Is there a possibility that I will be granted that length of time or longer?
Um, I'm hearing a shh, and when I hear that, that's kind of the sense of when you know how long you'll be alive, when your transition date is, you'll live for that date versus just
Right.
living.
Expect that answer.
Yeah, so they're like, nah,
Amazing.
I mean, we can give you that information, but it's not helpful. It's
Right.
basically what they're saying.
I'm well aware of that.
Yeah,
When my late husband passed, I was told I could do it in 3 days if I wanted to leave. I'm going, I can't. I've got kids, damn it.
right. Yeah, we
But no, I want to live that long. At least 110.
well, put the energy out there, make sure
Yeah.
you take care of your body.
Me too.
Um, make sure your cellular makeup has the ability for the longevity. So they're like, it's kind of a co-creation process there. You just take care of yourself, and that's a form of working with us.
Right,
Um,
right.
and
Yes.
that's
It's,
for everybody.
yeah.
Um, but that was a really good question, though. I really appreciate that question because, we all of us have a sense of, okay, is there a timing on our mortality? Do we have to work faster so we can get everything done, or can we relax? And it's actually not anything we really need to worry about. Um,
Right, right. No,
it,
it's not. Well, and you do have multiple checkout points if you want.
that's true. That's
And,
true,
yeah,
especially with physical trauma, and I know two people that have actually checked out, but a soul has come in, a walk-in.
right.
And so
I have
they're
a sister
like,
who's a walk-in.
yeah, and so they have a period of amnesia because they didn't live that life. They're like, I don't know what happened. And they completely change personalities, which is
There's
obvious. Yeah, but they have this conversation in that in between state of like, I kind of feel like I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but
no,
yeah,
no,
there's
I,
a
like,
conversation like, hey, you're supposed to stay, but your spirit's like, no, I'm done. And
yeah,
so another spirit will walk in and say, we'll
yeah,
finish it out for you.
yeah. I think it's one of the aspects of your higher self, is my personal opinion. But
Mm,
yes, I have a sister who is a walk-in. Um,
hmm. So it
and
personally.
believe me, I like the older sister better than the newer sister, but it's okay. They both have aspects. I have a dear friend who
Mhm.
had green eyes, and now she has blue eyes with her walk-in, which is like, oh, isn't that interesting?
It it really is. It's such a fascinating concept, and
Yeah.
um
Well, and I do think we have checkout points. I have there again, a son, a stepson who committed suicide. And to be honest, he was at a spot when I attempted to help him. He had told me that, no, you are the most powerful woman I know in the world, and you won't let me do what I want to do. I said, you're right. You'll make
Yeah.
me you'll make me heal myself, and I just can't. I have to check out now. And he did. Sadly, he did.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you.
It
I'm,
was well, it's
mhm.
yeah. I'm not sorry. I'm glad we talk a lot on through the other side, and he is finally at peace. When I met him, when I first met him, you could tell he was already in a very bad spot. So dysfunctional,
I see.
such a painful life.
Hmm.
So it was traumatic, and he had to make some decisions, and he did, and I don't hold those against him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I totally understand. We have checkout points. We can
Yeah,
choose.
I believe that for sure. Um, yeah, free will is definitely a human gift. Not every planet has the capability of free will or was not gifted that. And, it's like, okay, we're giving you free will on this planet. Let's see what you do with it. And it's like, we didn't really do so well in this dimension, just to put that out there. But hopefully that'll change,
Free will, free will is not always what it's meant to be.
No, it all depends decides to step into a leadership role and we all have to fall in line for a little while. Um, yeah, I think that's the end of the reading now.
Okay.
Um, there's, of course, an infinite amount of information that can be given to you, but today they're like, that's a good amount of information. You can work with it. Like you can build plans around this, and that's the important part.
Right. Yes, there was quite a bit of interesting statements, quite of insight, even on the fairs. My dream at
Hmm.
the fairs is that I would like to provide readings for at donation only, but make enough at donation only that it pays for the booth and gives me some
Hmm.
spending money on the end. Uh,
What you can
because I
do is say, I'm doing donation only today, but it's a suggested donation of like 15 or 25 or something like that.
Well, I was thinking it would be, I could even do, if it not a donation, maybe start with sliding fee schedule.
Mhm.
20 to 40, you pay the amount that you can afford,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe 25 to 40. 20
Hmm.
is a little bit low. But even that is low considered the most readers are reading at a higher rate than that. And then they say, well, if you don't charge enough, then people think you're not any good. And I'm going,
Mm,
but the people I want to read for can't afford the higher. I'd rather read for somebody, right,
who has questions and needs answers, and it doesn't matter.
rather than, yeah,
Hmm.
rather than somebody who may also need questions and answers, but they can afford the $40 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
we all got to live too, and I
you know.
understand. I
So I'm
understand.
thinking maybe, like I said, a sliding fee schedule. I'm going to try anyhow this next round at Rosani, and just to put it out there and see.
All right. Well, I do want to let you know that I have walked out of the door, closed it. Archangel Michael has sealed it, or Metatron. I don't know why I'm messing them up today. Maybe when you're cutting cords, you can call on Archangel Michael to help
Right.
slice it with his sword of truth. Um,
Yeah, Michael and I have been working quite a bit, so that could just be that he's.
he's very present. He's very present. That's for sure. That's for sure. Um, okay. Yeah,
Well,
I think
I enjoyed this. I would enjoy doing another session.
okay. Okay, we can set something up. You know, let's I like to give people at least a week to sit
Yeah,
with their Akashic reading because it's just so much that comes
yeah,
through. Even if it doesn't feel like it, as the week progresses, you're like, oh, I get it, or oh, I see how this fits. And it takes a little bit to integrate everything. And then after that, I
I would love
schedule
to
another
listen.
session.
Yeah, I would love to
Okay.
read, listen to it again too. What does a concession run?
And an actual Akashic session is a three-part series. So the first one is like a consultation, reading, and short Reiki session to kind of align your body. And oh, sorry about that. And then 3 days later, and then 3 days later is when we'll do the actual Akashic reading, and I'll channel for about an hour-ish, and we'll actually dive into more of what we had discussed in that first appointment, because that's where your higher self will already start picking out where we go, what needs to be said. And then the last session is just a phone call check-in. So I generally charge around 150 because it is a total of 3 sessions.
Right,
And I really feel like that's definitely on the lower end
right.
of,
I'm so scared.
yeah. And if someone can't pay the 150 right then, I can split it up into 2 months,
Okay,
2 month payment.
yeah.
So,
I
and that's
think
for
I
other
was
people out
getting
there too. Yeah. So,
getting keto.
yeah, it's definitely a process. Doing something like this is just kind of diving in, see what comes up immediately, but an actual Akashic reading session is more dialed into the answers we're looking for right
Right,
now.
right. Well, this, yeah, and actually, I enjoyed this, just kind of fumbling through. Um, the Crystal Cave, that is a Lemurian cave. I knew exactly where you were at. Yeah, it was. It was a Lemurian colony here on Earth. Um, and you use the caves for communication, which
Okay.
is interesting. There again.
Hmm.
Um, so
And
yeah, I was when you said it, I knew where we were at. Even the whale-like creature was interesting. I would love to go back there because I believe that's the true planet when I came from Lemuria. And it may be within the Pleiadians, I don't know. But even
um,
within the Pleiadians, it seemed to be outside of the
yeah.
Pleiadians, which makes more
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it doesn't feel Palladian, more
So
I don't want to say Arcturian because that's more of a species than a planet.
no,
Um,
it's not alive anymore. It's gone.
yeah, yeah.
The Dragonians killed it.
Yeah, that gives me a sadness, so kind of feels
Yeah,
something, or at
it's
least
sad.
invaded and implanted their own,
Yeah,
um,
it's no,
colonized it basically.
and then my family group isn't returning to Earth again,
Hmm.
is what I've been told. We get to go do all this on another place that needs us badly.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
we're starting over, but it was nice to know too. So it's nice to have that confirmation. I've heard Pleiadian before, which could easily be. I mean, we do come from multiple places. I'm certain that I didn't pop from one world onto Earth. I'm certain there was a zigzag somewhere. And like you said, Palladians have had quite a bit of upheaval all on their own,
Hmm.
you know. And my property, which is interesting, you mentioned unicorns or no, you mentioned dinosaurs.
Gnomes.
Well, that's okay. I have fairies, gnomes, and every creature here. but I don't believe there ever were dinosaurs. I believe they were dragons, but we have been told they were dinosaurs. My yard is, well, it's now spring. They will start coming through from the rookery. I have teenage dragons show up at my property and they play around here and sunbathe, and then eventually they go off to where they are have been assigned because not all dragonians were bad. I mean, not all dragons were that way. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
I have a large um, contingency of elementals.
That sounds awesome. You got plenty to do then.
Yeah. So, no, it's a very good reading. I enjoyed it. Would love to do more, and we'll
Okay.
probably look at that to do more.